Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacalyn. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacalyn at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. I'm the president, founder, and chief listening officer here at our network, where we are 29 live shows strong. Our show today is Entrepreneur and so much more. Joining me is an incredible person. I really respect him and hold a safe place in my heart for him. His name is Mirigliani, and he's not only an entrepreneur, he is a human being who leads with his heart, and he's always out there helping other people, whether it's through his charity or just through the kind works that he does. Let's welcome him to the show. Hi, Justin.
Hey, Dr. Jacalyn, great to be back again. I can't believe it's in September now.
I can't believe it either. When I was doing the promo for the show, I saw the last time you were here, I think it was August the 8th or something. I'm thinking, where does the time go? Please stop, slow down. We don't want to stop. No.
Yeah. Yeah, I never understood parents who would say, "Oh, I can't wait until September when my kids go back to school." I hate it. I want them home. I like being with the kids. So it's always so depressing. Nice. It's depressing.
Tell our audience a little bit about what it is you do and about your family, because we've had another show about taking a vacation as an entrepreneur. We discussed that you have gone on vacation. You love spending time with your kids and with your family. Tell us about that over this past summer.
Yeah, this past summer. So it's amazing. You look back, it's like 5 weeks ago. So it seems like it was forever ago, but we took a trip to, we went out to a place called Knoebels. It's a park, an amusement park out in, north central Pennsylvania. So it's up near the Poconos. Just really had a great time there. And then we went to Hershey Park, where we go a lot. We have a season pass every year, and we go, and the kids love the rides. My youngest, especially Rebecca, she is 11, and she is a roller coaster fanatic. I mean, absolutely loves not only riding the roller coasters, but she loves thinking about designing them and learning about the history of roller coasters. It's really her thing. So I think she's going to be an architect and build roller coasters someday. But as a family, we go out to Hershey a lot, and we just had a great time. It was, we spent about 5 days there. We rode the Pride of the Susquehanna, which is a boat that takes you out on the Susquehanna River, and they tell you a little bit about it. And it's just really neat. It's an old time boat, and it takes you back to like the 30s or 40s. It's really, really cool. And, we just spent a lot of time going to, when we weren't in the parks, going to the Hershey Museum and seeing the town of Hershey, Pennsylvania, which is really a nice little town. We went to the Turkey Hill Experience and made and ate tremendous amounts of ice cream. And that was one day that we spent there. So yeah, I mean, I really did forget about work those days. Did not do anything at all. Barely even looked at my email. I might have looked at email every third day, and I did that on purpose because I don't have a whole lot of time during the regular work year, which is for me all year long, to spend a lot of time. We try to spend time on weekends as best we can, but on top of my business, and my wife Amy, she's a school teacher, so she's got a little more time in the summer than I do. But now that she's back, it's really a lot going on. And besides our work, we have swimming 5 nights a week for my oldest daughter, Alexandra. We have softball several nights a week for Rebecca. And then weekends, there are tournaments. Some of them are all day tournaments. So we're at the field from 8 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock at night. So those are good things, and those are fun things. But, we're not really doing much as a family even at that time, because we're in the stands and she's on the field. Amy's coaching. So you got to find the time. And we did. And it was fun to be able to do that. Unfortunately, one of the souvenirs that we took home was COVID-19, but everybody survived it and got through it. And now we're on the mend. So, you know what?
Wow. It sounded so exciting until that last sentence.
Yeah. Yep. Within 3 days, everybody was coming down with COVID. So
How severe were your symptoms?
they weren't bad. I mean, it was more than a cold. And my main symptom was just being very, very tired. I was really, really tired. I slept one day, I think like 19 hours. I just was completely exhausted. Now, my youngest, Rebecca, did not get it, or at least we don't know if she did because she never had any symptoms. But Amy had it. She had body aches and a lot of pain and wasn't feeling well, but that went away pretty quick. And then Alexandra had a fever one day, and then she got over it pretty quickly. So
Well, you look good. You look well rested and
thanks. Yeah.
yeah. So our topic today is something that you know a lot about. We're just going to talk at a high level and then drill down about soft skills versus hard skills. So tell us, as an entrepreneur, the work that you do in this area.
Well, when I first started training, I was a computer instructor, and that was really what everything was for me: Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Lotus Notes, Outlook, Microsoft Project, Visio, the Adobe product. So I did and still do teach mostly computer programs. And it was exclusively computer programs for a number of years. One of the hardest things that I've had in my business, one of the hardest things that I've had to do or try to do is sell soft skills. Now, soft skills are different than the computer skills. When we talk about soft skills, we're talking about skills like time management, empowerment, giving and receiving positive and constructive feedback, um, conflict management, things like that. So they're not as tangible, I guess, as the computer skills are. If I teach you how to build a pivot table, you can then see if you know how to build a pivot table immediately. You can go and get a data set, build the pivot table, and there it is. It's tangible. You can see it. I mean, you can't touch it and feel it, but you can see it with your eyes. You can print it out if you wanted to, but it's there. It's tangible. And I think what a lot of companies don't understand is that the soft skills are actually much more important than the computer skills. The research actually shows that 75% of the success of an employee comes from the soft skills. And again, as a reminder, project management, conflict management, time management, empowerment, coaching for success, things like that. The skills that take work after it's done. A lot more work than just the computer stuff. Now, I'm not saying that the computer stuff isn't important, because if you need to build a pivot table for your job, then you got to know how to build pivot tables. That's obvious. If you need to know how to create documents in Word or presentations in PowerPoint, then yeah, take the classes. And again, that's where I make most of my money. The vast majority of the money that I make is on the computer courses. But I think it's time that that changes. I think that it's time that we get into a place where we put more value on the soft skills, because I think that's where we're missing the boat, especially when you talk about a younger generation that, and I hate to do this because I don't want to sound like the old guy who says, get off my lawn. But I think that this generation is missing the boat when it comes to making a phone call, for instance. They're so into texting and so into the impersonal ways of communicating that I think we've lost a lot of the personality that we have in the way that we communicate to each other face to face. For instance, when I teach the giving and receiving positive and constructive feedback, one of the things I teach them is don't do it electronically, do it face to face. Go to that person. Hey, you did a great job of building this report, and we now can implement your changes for other reports that we build in the future. See, that's easy to do, right? And we don't do it. The research, again, I look into a lot of the research of these things and the psychology of it, and 98% of managers do not give positive feedback. I'm going to say that number again. 98% do not give positive feedback. That means virtually all, right? 98%, that's almost 100%. 98% don't tell their people what they're doing well. They just assume that they know. And the another statistic that's kind of scary is 48% of new hires, maybe 46%, 46 or 48. Off the top of my head, I just don't remember exact number. I think it's one of them. So let's say 46, just for argument's sake. 46% of new hires fail within 18 months. Within 18 months. And the cost of turnover is so high. I mean, when you lose somebody, you got to go out and hire somebody else. So you have to go through the process of using a firm to help you find the candidate, or you have to go to job fairs. That costs money. You have to bring them in. That costs money and time because people have to interview them. Then you have to train the people. That costs money to train them. So the cost of turnover can run into millions and millions of dollars. And I've actually seen that. I have a cousin who's an HR manager of a mid-sized company. It's not a huge company, maybe 900 people, 1,000 people, something like that. And their cost of turnover every year is $1.2 million. Now, what if you could cut that in half? What if you could cut it in half? What if you could cut it even more than in half? What if you could cut it by three quarters? And I think you can. I think it's doable. But the reason why this is happening, I'm not going to say I think, I know the reason why this is happening is people do not feel empowered in their job. They don't feel needed. They don't feel like they're part of the team because they're not getting that positive feedback. So they're yearning for it, and they're going to find it. No matter what business you run, you're not the only game in town. I don't care if you're Microsoft. I don't care if you're my company just for you. I don't care if you're Disney, IBM. People can find a job at another company. And the clients that I have right now are reaping the rewards. Um, I'm doing training for a bank in this area, in the Philadelphia area. And now they're no longer just in the Philadelphia area. They're going all over the place. They're going down to the Jersey Shore. They're going down south. They're going up north. And why are they growing? Because they are investing money and investing time in their people, in the soft skills. They have me training probably about 20 soft skills classes a year for them. Does it cost them money? Is it expensive to do? Yeah, I charge them a fair rate to do it, and it's not. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not cheap. It takes a lot of time and effort to build these courses, and there's a lot of value to them. But are they getting return on investment? Yeah, I can't give you a number, but I can tell you that it's many, many, many times what I'm charging them to do the classes. So my hope is that companies like this bank start to see the value in the soft skills and say to themselves, look, we need to really put a premium on this because again, they see the value of a Word class or an Excel class or any other program that you can think of. But for some reason, it's taking forever to get corporate America and even probably, I would guess, in Europe to see the value in the soft skills. And I think that maybe we're starting to see that the tide turn a little bit.
Justin, you brought up really good points, and I can relate to what you're saying. When I was in my corporate career, I worked for a company where we sold employee recognition and sales incentives. And it was so interesting. Some of the biggest companies in the world going in to meet with C-level executives, and they're putting their money in manufacturing and R&D and inventory, but not in their people.
Right.
And the cost to replace someone, as you mentioned, is enormous.
It is.
So I think it's a matter of changing perspective about where we place our value, because if you don't have employees who are happy, if you don't have a culture that's in alignment with the vision of the organization, the vision and the mission, you're going to have what is happening all over today with this quiet quitting, where people are just sitting at their desks, checked out, not actually doing anything, getting the paycheck. Right. But you have found the recipe to turn this around. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. And it's not just me. I mean, there's there are so many people around the world that are looking into this, and it's growing, but it's so slow. It's amazing how you just they I don't know what it is. I guess again because maybe it's not tangible. Maybe they can't see it and feel it and touch it. It doesn't feel like that they're getting value for their money. But boy, in the long term and in the grand scheme of things, you will get return on investment dramatically beyond what you paid out.
Well, you know what else I think it is, Justin, and we're both business owners, is you see the vision, you know where you were, you know where you are, you know where you're going, and you know why this is so valuable. And it's just a matter of getting people to change their mindset. I feel the same thing with this platform. I saw where we were, I saw where we are, I know where we're going. So I think it's just a matter of, again, putting it into what's the value for them, just again and again, what's the value for them. And I believe the tide will turn.
Right. And the other thing too is how do people enjoy this type of training? I think people do enjoy the soft skills training a lot more because we do implement, or I do implement games and different types of team building type breakout sessions and things like that. Uh, but it's funny. I try to implement a little bit of music in it. Like when I have them doing some sort of an activity, I might play the Eye of the Tiger or something like that just to kind of get them excited and pumped up. And you know, it's incredible how people look at different things. I'll get the evaluations at the end of the course, and I might get 15 people in the class, and 13 evaluations say, "Oh, I love the music. It was so great that you implemented the music into this. I love it." And then two of the 15 say, "There was too much music, and I wish you didn't use the music in the presentation." It's amazing how people see things differently, how they look at the same exact class, but look at it two different ways. And that's the same, I think, for these companies. You know, a company can look at it and say, well, this is silly stuff. He's got them playing games. That can't be of value. But what they're learning through these games is where they're getting the value and also the team building, right? Um, it's like there's a story about a gentleman who went to an island and he was working for a shoe manufacturer. And he goes to this island and he calls back to the main office and says, "Forget it. This island is terrible. We're not going to sell anything. They don't wear shoes." And he leaves and goes home. And then there's another guy who goes there and he calls back to his company. He says, "Oh my goodness, none of these people have shoes. We're going to make a killing here." It's the different mindset, right? One guy's looking at it like they don't wear shoes, so I guess we're dead. And the other guy's looking at it, "Oh my goodness, we have all these people with no shoes. We're going to make a bundle here."
I
I
love
think,
that example. I love
yeah,
that. Yeah, it is.
two same scenario, two different ways to look at it.
It's definitely all about perspective. It's like it'll be raining and someone will say, "Oh, this is a horrible day. It's raining." And I'll look at it and say, "Well, the flowers and the grass and the trees, they all need rain, so I'm grateful for
Right,
it." So it's
right,
so, one other thing that we've spoken about many times on this platform, even here on this show, is about listening skills. And I just want to tie it to what you're talking about because I have the pleasure of coaching people on how to listen. And what I found is the younger generations, and again, not calling you out, but just saying, in my experience, it's hard to get them to even listen in a course about listening. So,
I know.
and for older people, we think we know all the soft skills. We think, oh, I've been doing time management, I've been doing this, and I've been doing that. But the truth is, that doesn't mean we're doing it effectively. That
Correct.
it could be that we learned something years ago and just picked out one piece of it. And I think these soft skills are important for everyone. And I believe that when you master these skills, it's something you can really be proud of because you can incorporate this through the rest of your career and even your personal life.
Right. You can make yourself much more valuable
Hmm.
if you want to move up in your company, or if your company doesn't see the value that you bring, you could find another job at another company. And like you said, with your family, becoming a better listener makes you a better parent, makes you a better spouse, makes you a better son, a better husband, a better brother. I mean, whatever any part of your life.
For sure. And I think just with the listening skills, it definitely differentiates you because we all know people who don't listen. We know that it's like, okay, I know she's not going to listen. Why would I bother telling her? And then we
Right.
know people who genuinely are fully present and listening. So tell us a little bit about what you and I talked about backstage about the opportunity to actually go on site and to coach people on these skills. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so a lot of what I do is with the soft skills, I could tailor it to a virtual type of event. We could do a Teams event, and I could teach soft skills. But I much prefer to go to the location because a lot of the games that we play really require people to interact with each other physically. So I go to a location and I run these 4 hour courses. They're all about 4 hours with breaks in there. Because one thing I learned a long time ago, even with the computer training, is that about at an hour and a half, that's when you want to give people a break to stand up and walk around a little bit. You really don't want to push beyond that because people's attention span starts to drop. They're going to need a break. So it's got breaks built in, but we do all kinds of different things, different games that we play. One of the games in one of the sessions that I do involves if you were in a plane crash with a bunch of people in your group and you were in the Northwest Territories and it was 40 below zero, what items? I give you a list of items, and you would spend 20 minutes with your group discussing what items you would need to survive in what order. So I give you, I think it's 13 items. I got to look at the list. So it's like 13 items, and you have to put them in the correct order. And I have the key that tells you what the order is and explains why these items would be important to have. It might be a bottle of whiskey and a knife, steel wool. There's all kinds of things that are a part of it. And it teaches you critical thinking and thinking with a group of people and working with a group of people. And there are a lot of exercises like that in these sessions. But one of the things I tell the people in these sessions is it's great that you're here taking the class. And it's even greater that your company is willing to pay for you to take this class because that is not the case everywhere. But the big thing is it cannot be just like a New Year's resolution where you say, you know what, it's January 1st. I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to work out every day this year. And by February 14th, Valentine's Day, you don't go to the gym anymore. You're like, yeah, you know what? It's Valentine's Day. I'm going to take off and, you eat some candy and then you just don't go back. I mean, we all do this. We in something in our lives, right? We all set a goal of something and then don't follow through. And I think, I try to drive home that once you follow through for about 21 days in a row with anything, it becomes a habit. And again, that's not me. That's based on research. I'm not making that up off the top of my head. That's what the research tells us. That if you do something for 21 days in a row, it becomes a very hard habit to break. So it becomes something that's now part of you. So that's the other big piece to this is coming to the classes is extremely important because that sets the foundation. But you still have to go through and build on it and practice what you learn.
Yes, and by the way, I've heard that 21 days as well, so I can confirm that. And that's just 3 weeks. But yet
Right.
it's sometimes it's just getting through the day with whatever that is. Like for me, an easy thing to give up was caffeine, and December will be
Mhm.
4 years that I haven't had caffeine. But for some people it's like there's no way. I mean, making it through one day without that cup of coffee, so it's easy for some people to give up certain things, and it's hard for others. It's interesting. Maybe something else would be very hard for me to give up and be easy for someone else.
Right. Could you give up going to the gym? Probably not.
Well, I would find other things to do
Yeah.
because I was a personal trainer for years. So actually here behind the screen, I have all the equipment I actually need. And the
Yeah.
reason I'll go to the gym is just to have a different change of environment. And I like to jump rope. So I can't jump
Right.
rope here in this house. I can't use trampoline anymore either. But so I could give up the gym, but I could not give up working out.
Right. Right. Another thing I try to tell people, and I think we all do this, including myself. I catch myself sometimes. We say things that aren't really true. Like I seen today and yesterday, people saying on Facebook, 9/11, we all have forgotten. It's a shame that everybody forgot. I don't know anybody, anyone who was forgotten, who was around at that time, and even people born after my kids even think about it. Uh, Nobody's forgotten. I don't see that at all. But yet we say things like that. We make these stories up in our head that aren't really true. Here another one that I can think of is when somebody loses a loved one, they say, "Oh, it's 20 years later and it's getting harder." If you really stop and think about it, is it really harder? I mean, think about the day you lost that person. It hurt to breathe, right? I mean, you lost somebody you love so much, and it was agony, and it hurt to do anything. I mean, you couldn't eat, you couldn't sleep. It was just awful. Well, 20 years later, I got a feeling that you're eating and you're sleeping, and you may have moments of sadness. I'm not saying that that's not possible. But to say that it's worse later, time does heal. I mean, it just does. Uh, I'm sure there are people going back to 9/11 a year afterwards. We're still in a fog. Who lost loved ones, that not able to go on with life. But maybe 2 years later, 3 years later, all of a sudden they started to come back again. And again, we say things that just aren't really true. uh, if I go on vacation and it rains 4 out of 7 days and I come home and say the vacation was awful, well, okay, it rained 4 out of 7 days, but you had three of them that were really good, that were sunny. So was that awful? And the 4 days that it rained, maybe you played board games with your family and you laughed and you had room service and you watched a great movie and whatever. So even though it wasn't what you planned on doing and it wasn't exactly what you wanted to do, you wanted to go out and hit the beach or whatever, you still had fun. It wasn't awful. So I think we lie to ourselves sometimes and say things that aren't true, and then actually believe it. And that's with the soft skills, we talk about things like that, how to get out of that, how to not tell yourself things that just aren't true.
Great points, Justin. And I know I've heard so many times over the years from people, how was your vacation? It was horrible. It rained the whole
Right.
time. Did it really rain the whole time? Well, actually, it didn't rain the whole time. It's like, but they really believed that it rained the whole time. And
Right.
I often wonder, is it because they don't want people to think they had a good time because somehow people will be jealous or upset that they went on vacation and the other person didn't? I don't know. We could dig deep into that one.
Yeah. But that's again, with these soft skills, it's a mindset. It's how you look at things. Going back to that story I told you before about the shoes, right? Looking at scenarios and deciding which way you want to look at it. You can look at it either way. You can be the pessimist and look at it, and I'm guilty of that myself sometimes. Even though I know better, and that's one thing I stress to my students. Just because I teach something doesn't mean that I always practice what I preach, but that doesn't mean it's not good advice. So, you might say, well, you might look at me and try to catch me doing something that I shouldn't do. I took the elevated listener class with Dr. Jacalyn. But does that mean that I'm always an elevated listener every single time I'm in a conversation? No. I mean, if I'm getting bad news from a doctor, I may not be able to be an elevated listener at that moment. Or if I'm having a problem with work and it's stressful, I may not be able to practice what I preach. But that doesn't make the advice bad. I taught a class a couple of weeks ago, and I said, listen, if you know somebody who is addicted to heroin, and they say to you, never do heroin, don't do it, never do it, should you then say, oh, well, they're a heroin addict, and if they told me not to do it, then it can't be good advice, so I'm going to start doing heroin? That doesn't make any sense. Or if a smoker says to you, don't smoke, it's dangerous, but they smoke, that doesn't mean the advice is bad. It's coming from a flawed source, but that doesn't mean that the advice itself is wrong. So just again, it's the way you look at things and when you decide to take them.
Exactly, exactly. And also with the listening, you can't be listening at an elevated level all the time because you have a life. So we
Right.
set boundaries about when we can be listening at an elevated level, and then we follow through with that. So if I tell you I can listen to you with my undivided attention for 10 minutes, then that's what I need to do because that's what I committed to doing.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's key. That is
it
really key.
is. So, Justin, we're actually at the end of our show, and you have a show coming up right after this. Tell folks about that.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about project management, one of the most important things that people do in business, and also how it integrates with Microsoft Project. It's a program that I've taught now for 23 years. It is unbelievably sophisticated. It's incredible. You can track projects in Microsoft Project all the way down to the minute, really. If you want to track projects minute by minute, it allows you to put in your tasks and your resources, link them together. It calculates the cost based on the resource rates and other factors. So I'm going to get into that a little bit. That course itself is a 2-day course. There's a part one and a part two. I always recommend that if you take that, it's taken on back to back days. You do not want to wait because there is, if you join us for the show coming up, I'm going to show you that there is a process to project management. It's a 5-step process. And in the course on day one, I teach how to do the first 2 steps. And then day two is when we get into the final 3. So really exciting stuff. Well, I don't know. I say exciting. It's exciting for a computer geek like me. I hope that other people who are into project management would like this. But Dr. Jacalyn, I talked to my mom earlier today, and she said I might skip that one.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, Justin. We have your contact information on the screen, but for people listening later on the radio or on a podcast platform, what's the best way for people to reach out to you and who would you like to contact you?
Yeah, so anybody looking for any kind of training and the soft skills that we talked about, or any computer titles, even if I haven't mentioned them, you can let me know what you're looking for, and I can tell you whether I could train it or not. Oftentimes, somebody will ask me for a class that I've never taught before, but I'll go in and teach myself how to do it. You can do that once you get to my level because I've done it before, so I have the skills to be able to learn new programs pretty easily, just based on the 23 years of doing this. But any training, computer training, soft skills, the company is Just For You, all spelled out, JustForYoutC.com. So that's the website. And my email address is uh, Justin at JustForYoutC.com. And then I have my charity. We're going to ramp up pretty soon to start another celebrity hockey game, NHL celebrity hockey game with some NHL stars. And that's Checkmates Charity, www.checkmatescharity.com. Our funds go to Crohn's Colitis Foundation, United Ostomy Association of America, and other organizations that are involved in helping people with an ostomy and also with Crohn's and colitis, which are inflammatory bowel disease. And if you want to get involved with Checkmates, if you want to play in the game or if you want to help us in any way, my email is justin at checkmatescharity.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Justin. I appreciate that. Justin and I are signing off for now, and he'll be back momentarily with Talking Heads. I'll be behind the scenes producing the show. Thank you, everyone. See you again
Bye,
soon.
everybody.
Bye.